Hello everyone and welcome to a new video dedicated to our beloved Snoopy and the world of Peanuts. The November 22nd, 1950 Peanuts strip is a short but incisive reflection on Charlie Brown's optimistic or perhaps ironic attitude toward an institution loved and hated by all, school. Through simple dialogue, Schulz presents us with an incredibly enthusiastic Charlie Brown, almost bordering on the surreal, ready to face another day of classes. But is he really sincere, or is he just trying to hide a sense of insecurity behind forced enthusiasm? Patty and Shermy, incredulous onlookers, comment with a joke that reveals the strip's classic subtle humor. In this short sequence, Schulz manages to capture a universal aspect of the school experience, the mixture of love, hate, and inevitability. We will analyze each vignette together to uncover all the hidden details, historical context, and some trivia related to school and society in the 1950s, enriching the story with reflections on Schulz and his unique style. Analysis of individual vignettes. In the first vignette, Charlie Brown advances with a book under his arm and a smile on his face, uttering the phrase, "Oh, boy. School again today." Schulz immediately creates a contrast. The protagonist's enthusiasm seems unusual, almost paradoxical, compared to the traditional image of children who resent school. This vignette introduces the central theme of the strip, the ambiguous relationship with everyday school life. On the one hand, Charlie seems to appreciate this routine, but on the other hand, his expression may conceal an ironic tone. Interestingly, Schulz chooses to depict Charlie in motion. The dynamism of his stride and the confidence in his posture seem to communicate determination, even though we know that behind this facade is often hidden the vulnerability that characterizes him. An interesting curiosity concerns the role of schooling in the 1950s. At the time, the American educational system was undergoing an expansion, with a growing emphasis on public education and the importance of schooling for individual and collective growth. Schulz could reflect this positive view, although he does not fail to emphasize its ironic aspect. In the second vignette, we see Charlie Brown continuing with his speech, declaring happy, carefree school days. Patty and Shermy, in the background, watch him with puzzled expressions, represented by the classic question marks above their heads. This moment emphasizes the contrast between Charlie's perspective and that of the other characters. Patty and Shermy do not understand or do not share the enthusiasm of their friend, creating a comic tension that is typical of Schulz's style. This kind of humor, based on the contrast between what is said and the reaction of the other characters, is one of the trademarks of the Peanuts. In addition, the use of question marks above Patty and Shermy's heads is an example of Schulz's visual minimalism, which succeeds in communicating complex emotions with a few essential strokes. In the third vignette, Charlie Brown walks away, raising the book as if he is exclaiming a victory cry. Good OL, school. Here the humor reaches a climax, as Charlie's optimism, or irony, becomes so exaggerated as to seem almost surreal. The character's movement, prancing away, underscores his apparent lightness and confidence. But is this really the case? It could be an attempt to mask anxiety or discomfort toward an inevitable routine. One interesting aspect is how Schulz uses language to create contrast. The phrase "good old school" invokes a sense of nostalgia, but Charlie is too young to feel real nostalgia. This makes his enthusiasm even more curious and ambiguous, contributing to the comedy of the scene. In the fourth vignette, Patty and Shermy stand still and watch Charlie Brown as he walks away. Shermy breaks the silence with a dry quip. Poor Charlie Brown, he's lost his mind. This vignette represents a perfect closing, with a change of perspective that shifts the focus from the protagonist to the observers. Shermy's joke, besides being funny, highlights the disconnect between Charlie and the other characters, a recurring theme in the Peanuts. This moment is also an example of Schulz's philosophical humor, which often uses secondary characters to make judgments about the protagonist's behavior. Shermy, in particular, often represents the voice of rationality, although her role in the Peanuts is destined to diminish over time. Trivia, anecdotes, and insights. School is a recurring theme in Peanuts, and it is interesting to note how Schulz uses it to explore the universal emotions and experiences of childhood. In the 1950s, school is seen as a fundamental part of growing up, but also as a source of anxiety and pressure. Charlie Brown embodies this ambiguity. On the one hand, he tries to approach school with optimism, but on the other hand, he cannot help but feel out of place. An interesting detail is Shermie's role in the strip. Although she is one of the main characters in the early strips, her role quickly diminishes with the introduction of more complex characters such as Linus and Lucy. In this vignette, however, Shermie demonstrates a wisdom that anticipates Linus's, offering a critical perspective on Charlie's behavior. Patty, on the other hand, represents a silent but important presence. Her puzzled expression reflects the character's inability to fully understand Charlie Brown, a theme repeated in many subsequent strips. Finally, it is interesting to note how Schulz uses visual simplicity to communicate complex emotions. The contrast between the dynamism of Charlie and the stillness of Patty and Shermie is an example of his talent for telling a story through drawings. This minimalism became one of the hallmarks of the Peanuts, influencing generations of cartoonists. The November 22, 1950 strip, while short, offers a glimpse of childhood that is both comic and reflective. With few strokes and essential dialogue, Schulz manages to capture a moment that is both universal and deeply personal, showing once again why the Peanuts are considered a masterpiece of popular culture.
If you enjoyed yourselves, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and activate the little bell to stay updated, and see you next, friends.